Hello there and welcome to another one. I trust I find you in good spirits. My name is Tatenda, back with another one, and I trust you are good. The Josie Cup is playing and it's game on. If you're new to the channel, please consider liking, sharing and subscribing. I had a virtual meeting that is with Coach Motsamai. He's out in Titans in Pretoria side, and he's a ladies coach there. We had a very good chat on coaching, on playing, and all the conditions that inspire someone to get into a professional setup. It's a very, very good conversation, and I do not want to take much of your time. I want you to get on there, and if you want to sponsor the channel, please come to my inbox, rather, bigmanpodcast@gmail.com, and there you're going to be able to sponsor the video or the podcast. Let's not waste any more time. I'll see you guys on the other side. Coach is waiting for me. Hi man, how you doing?
I'm all right, Mr. TT, and you?
Still alive. When we get legends like you, guys that have been servants of the game, I think it becomes a no-brainer as well with regards to the guys that we invite on the show. Because the reason why we started the Game On podcast was to speak to legends of the game, so administrators, coaches, players, guys that have been in the circle or serving the game of cricket. Because, like we always say, we want people that are going to come into the game of cricket and live it in a different space or in a better space. And you are one of them. And just being friends with you on Facebook has just been nothing but an absolute experience when it comes to learning more about the game and learning more about how cricket is done from different aspects. And it's so amazing that the game of cricket is it's in a short space of in terms of the landmark, but the people inside, they've got brains for days, and you're one of those. So thank you so much for taking your time, and I know that whatever that is going to suffice from this conversation is going to help the next person, be it they want to get into the professional setup, administration, and everything in between. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I'm looking forward to our conversation tonight.
Thank you, Mr. TT, and your listeners as well.
Awesome stuff. Just a brief intro, because people are just gonna come in and go like, geez, who's this guy that's always smiling? A guy that's never angry. So I always want a brief introduction from the guest to tell the people who they are, what makes them tick, what do they do, that kind of thing. Because you and I know, we know each other, but then the person that is watching this, we've got listeners from Ukraine, from Russia, those guys that don't even know cricket. So when they come onto the show, they're like, okay, we just want to watch this guy, but what is he? Who is he? And that sort of thing. So can you just give us a brief introduction of who you are?
Thanks to the listeners and all abroad the country, international spheres. My name is Motsamai. Pina Motswani, Pina as a nickname that I got when I was little boy. And yep, I'm involved in cricket. So my background is all about development of cricket and where it started within the area where I grew up, and with the amount of passion and dedication that I once had within this cricket structure, played my role as well as I was a betting all rounder that actually averaged in the mid 30s there for Free State, and also uh, had a privilege of being involved with coaching players, and that also developed while I was still playing as well. And with a smile behind my face is more of engaging more with players from all different kind of areas and backgrounds as well. So that's where I'm coming from. So if I have to go more little bit deeper with my cricket knowledge, it will take you as far as going back to the grassroots level of a little town called Kronstadt, and that also gave me a bit of a stepping stone to be in the higher ranks of the union, Free State unions at night, where I actually got involved with the senior, involved with a little bit of academy there, And then from there became the head coach of women's, and that led me to run most of the departments within the development structure in the Free State at nights, and then got to move to Northwest as well to be involved with the structures of boys and men's as well, and then that led to being involved with women's cricket as well, and finally the road led me to be in the Titan setup, where now I am actually involved with the women's structure.
Awesome stuff. A young man growing up in Kronstadt, what is the demography like? Because it's easy for a guy to go play soccer because it's cheaper. Then here you are, you got the cricket route. Was there an inspiration behind that? And who was the inspiration behind you going the cricket, not any other sport, the soccer, the rugby, tennis, so to say?
Yeah, it's a funny journey where one would grow in an environment where soccer is culture, and you sort of try to fit in as much as you can because part of my and it was funny that I didn't find that charisma in soccer, and I tried even athletics as well, and that didn't go well for me. So I took a bit of early retirements on those kind of sporting codes because one could have realized that, you know what, I'm actually not good in this kind of areas. So with cricket, it started when I was just like sitting down, and there was this other teacher that just went into the classrooms. Was like, "Hey guys, I wanna start cricket. Don't you guys wanna come and join?" And me being me, not being good with other sporting codes, I was like, "No, you know what? Since I like this thing and it's different, let me go and try it." And then, the rest is history. Went there
Exactly.
first day, and the thing that even made it more interesting was the fact that there was not a lot of people because a lot of you know a lot of kids were not into cricket. They didn't know what was going on there. We all thought it was, oh, this is one of those white men sports. So everybody was a little bit reluctant to get involved. And I was like, okay, fine. This is my opportunity
Yeah.
because I've got less people to compete with
Oh, nice.
since I'm not good with soccer. So, so that was it for me. Then I never looked back.
Wow. Then the family structure. Did mom and dad and the family understood the game of cricket that you were pursuing at this time as a youngster, or it was just a matter of, oh wow, whatever nonsense that he's doing, let him just go and spend time with his family, or spend time with his friends rather. Did the parents or the family understand this game of cricket that you were pursuing now?
Oh, I see. That is interesting one because I think the two people in my family was my granny and my mom. My granny, I think maybe she had this belief in me that I would do better in cricket because she was always trying so hard to make sure that my playing equipment is well looked after. And the fact that we were playing in more, white shorts, white shirts, white t-shirts, and white socks, so that gave a little bit of maybe I'll be responsible type of a type of a kid. And it was interesting because my uncles, my brothers, they were not even interested. They were actually thinking that, you know what, this boy doesn't know what he's doing. Let us just, allow him to do whatever that he wants to do. But it grew in the family. And once they started realizing that I'm actually into this thing, then they started following it. They started learning. I started teaching them cricket. And then I think my granny was one of my best supporter. She
Yeah.
loved cricket so much.
Wow, wow. At what point now, as a youngster, did they then start to realize that there is seriousness in this? What achievements had you then come about, or what had you achieved in the game? Because it's one thing to tell people that you're playing this game of cricket until you maybe make a Gauteng or you make a provincial side or you make some sort of a professional setup as a youngster. Then they're like, wow, you're traveling to another city, or you're going on your first time on a plane, or you're traveling for 2 days and you're not gonna be home for the next weekend or whatever. At what point were you when they start realizing that crap, this cricket thing is actually making sense now?
I think before even going out of my area playing in the likes of other provinces, it started just around our neighborhood. When parents doesn't want to see us being this, with cricket it became a bit of a different story because I was mostly at the training sessions. I was mostly not at home. So if I was not at home, I was at cricket. If I was not at cricket, I was doing studies. So for them within the area, it was actually a good thing that I'm not involved in unnecessary issues of all this, environment and neighborhood things. And
Yeah.
it started there. Then that's when they realized that, this kid is actually doing something that is more responsible, and while he's still young. And then that led to us, maybe we won a trip to Durban, and that was our first trip. And everybody was so excited around our neighborhood, and then we started to become some sort of leading examples
Nice. Nice.
of other kids to say, what, look at him, he's traveling to
Wow.
Durban, and
Yeah,
he's going to
nice.
spend a week there playing this cricket. So
Yeah.
that became a bit of a role model instinct, and that also made me start behaving in this certain patterns for other kids to understand that being in sports, not only because of cricket, but being in sports can actually allow you to become responsible and be a well-mannered society that it took off there within our neighborhood.
Yeah, network is killing me there. You got cut off a little bit right at the back, and you were speaking about how you became role models. But then, as you're becoming a role model, there's a saying in the Bible that says, "Too much is given, much is expected." So when you're becoming a role model, now you are forced from becoming that naughty child or mischievous individual, because you know that the whole society is looking at you, or the whole community is looking at you. What kind of pressure does that put on a youngster to say, yes, in as much as I want to date this girl and that girl, now all of a sudden I can't because everyone is looking at me as this great kid or as this saint or as this perfect guy. What kind of pressure does that put on a youngster that is also trying to find himself or find his fit in a world that is full of nonsense?
I guess for me, it came with, uh, I think it was a God given talent that even some of my friends around me, they started following my trend. So we ended up being more into sports than being into unnecessary things within the neighborhood. So it was less pressure for me to actually just monitor what's happening around me. It became a natural thing for me to actually just have this set of friends that will actually partake with me within this sporting journey. And we grew up together, and some of them didn't, they didn't play cricket that far, but within space, there was a little bit less pressure for me because even at home, you would get that your parents would like to see you more. So it was a bit of a supporting structure from my friends and also from the family side. So it was well balancing for me.
Wow, wow. So you can easily say that your ducks were in a row with regards to managing the family side and managing the cricketing side. That was at this time going in the right direction. Let's chat getting into these professional setups. And at some point from school, you went into club cricket. Let's chat a little bit about club cricket leading into your professional setups, please.
Yeah, that also has a lot of effect because now there is some sort of more responsibilities, and then maturity as well plays a role. And being matured comes with a lot of uh, high expectations, and that also can become your sort of negative effect in your stream of doing things, because now transiting from that space to the professional space, there is a lot of things that has to change. Your way of doing things in professional space, and your behavior patterns, and also there is also finances involved. So how you behave around finances as well also takes a lot of huge investment in your energy levels. It takes a lot of huge time as to keep on being more focused and also being disciplined. And the amount of circle, how do you limit your circle of friends that won't lead you to certain wrong directions, because the excitement as well will your excitement will also mislead you, thinking that you've made it, but only to find out that you're actually going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So that transition is actually is very, very, very important,
Mm.
that you mustn't lose focus,
Yeah.
because you are surely guaranteed that there is going to be a moment where you're going to lose focus.
Yeah. Why is it so, and I can put it this to you, why is it so difficult, especially for, let me say, black cricketers or black sports people? If you notice that there is a certain trend when it comes to professional guys, even in soccer, where a guy had at the peak of his career, things were going well, there was money, he was playing for high teams and whatnot. By the time soon after retirement, 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, they're back to zero. Why is it so difficult to manage finances as a professional sports person? Is it because we're not getting enough advice, or the guys that are there, they're not telling us how to stay at the top? Because one would say it's easy to be number one, but it's harder to stay number one, to stay at the top. And you see a lot of black cricketers or black guys or black sports people rather, we tend to fall down the same path or the same pit over and over again. Yes, we made it. Yes, we played for the big teams. Yes, we made money. Yes, we drove good cars. But after retirement, that stream of income just dies down and there's nothing else. What advice would you be giving to a youngster that is sort of coming into the professional setup? Now you're going to get a 500 at the end of the month. You're going to get a sponsorship at the end of the month. You're going to get this deal and that deal and that deal. And deals keep on flowing. And it's easy for you, like you said, it's easy for the person to kind of feel like, oh geez, I've made it because I've got $1 million coming from Pepsi, I've got $1 million coming from Coke, I've got this, I've got that. It's easy for them to just go, ah man, screw you, I got this. What advice would you be giving to a youngster that is walking into professional setups and thinking, I've made it in life? Is that the case? And yes, it's not the case, but what would we do, what can we do differently to ensure that we don't get black sports people that are always going to be looked at and say, geez, that so and so used to be great, but what, he's gone now?
Wow, it's a difficult demon to fight, because it for me it goes with your luck. Unfortunately, some people, they run out of luck. Why I'm saying that, you would find out that there is there is an environment uh, situation that you need to deal with, and there is your own personal space that you need to deal with, and there is also a circle of people that you hang out with that you're gonna have to deal with. So within that space, it's an imbalanced situation. You have to make sure that at home things are in place, and by that time there is your own personal space that you also need to monitor, to ensure that you keep your performance on point, on a constant level, so that you can maintain the lifestyle of now the people that you're hanging with. Because now the moment you move to a Gauteng, to a Pretoria, it's a different environment that you're gonna have to adapt with. So that also plays a part in your circle to actually maintain that standard. So unfortunately, it is a demon that sometimes you run out of luck trying to find yourself. Some players, you find that they wake up late
Mm.
within within the maintenance of their own finances.
Mm.
Some, luckily, there will be a sustainable plan for them to actually prolong within their space of career.
Mm.
Unfortunately, some get injuries,
Yeah.
and they will rely on the petty savings that they have.
Mm.
So my advice will surely be based on getting as much help as you can within the finances space. Like for instance, in cricket, we have Saka here, sitting down with Saka people, and then ensuring that those financial institutions can give you more guidance. And also, I think that one thing that we're also shying away from is to deal with your own personal space, getting professional assistance in your own personal space, because we sort of get excited thinking that we're in control of the situation, not knowing certain patterns can actually change and lead us into deciding on hasty bad things by thinking that having an investment is the way to go, wasting money on unnecessary things is the way to go. And that is the unfortunate part that a lot of black players has to deal with, because they are not used to it.
Mm.
And you're coming back from a background where you didn't even have a slight salary in your
Yeah.
life, in
Yeah.
your lifetime. Now suddenly you're getting a 50,000 rand
Yeah.
in your bank account.
Mm.
So everything becomes possible. The world becomes your oyster.
Mm.
So you can be able to buy whatever that you think it is good for me.
Mm.
But within that can also be your your worst enemy, because the
Yeah.
moment you focus on that certain lifestyle, you forget about your performance now. So it's all
Eh,
about getting professional help to
yeah.
ensure that even if you get to that point, how do you make sure that you sustain the long process in that space?
Yeah. Yeah. But can we safely say that these structures are not available for black sports people as it is for our white folks? Because if you ever notice that, yes, it's just like with white boys that are going to private coaching and all that. It's sort of like they're already treating themselves, or the parents are already treating them like professionals, because that boy goes to physio, that boy goes to a bio, that boy goes to a betting consultant, a bowling consultant, this. Is it because us as blacks, we don't have these resources? So it comes back again to our parents that don't understand the game. So when then can we then say, you know what, it stops here? Let's start to be different, because it's easier for me to tell you to manage your finances better because I'm speaking from a place of luxury. When you had 0 0 yesterday and you've got 100,000 today, like you're saying, you wake up and you're thinking, geez, I've made it. I can buy my own car, I can buy my own house, I can buy my own furniture, I can have wherever go that I want to. Is it because our professionalism starts very late, when the white folks, their professionalism starts from 10 years old? Does that make a difference, would you say?
A huge difference, because I remember at some stage, I was coaching an under 13 team, a provincial under 13 team, and we had to travel. And I realized what players. Black players had a certain amount in their hand as one of their spending money. But I looked at an under 13 white kid. I'm talking about the junior.
Mm.
They had their own bank cards
Mm.
in their hand. So these ones are being taught how to work on disciplines when it comes to finances
Yeah.
while they're still
Yeah.
young.
Mm.
They've got their own bank their own bank card,
Yeah.
and our black players are they having their own finance, their own pocket monies, and all those things. But you look at the amount of disciplines around.
Mm.
If I was that young, having my bank card, I was
Mm.
going to be clumsy
Yeah.
with it because I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
But you look at the white heat disciplines from that young age. How do they manage that, and how do they grow with that? Because the parents will be involved. And I'm actually happy that you asked that question. When do we start?
Mm.
When do we start with that? When do we change that? How do we then change that culture
Yeah.
of making sure that we start it from a young age, from our black society? I'm glad that nowadays I see black folks coming to support their kids at the game. You
Mm.
understand? At the games,
Mm.
it shows that we're going somewhere else in
Mm.
terms of now understanding kid in that level.
Yeah.
So at least something is happening now, where now there becomes a broader communication and a broader understanding
Mm.
from the parent side in terms of support to the youngsters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Amazing. Mate, we're gonna jump out and come back on the same link. And when we come back, we're gonna speak about coaching and the ladies' game and where it's going and how you guys are trying to shape it. And it's easy for you to speak to a gent and say you are nonsense, but then to a lady you have to be more softer. And I want to understand the navigation behind what you say as a coach, how you say it, and how you manage the women cannot be in one room. We all know that. So how do you manage to have 11, 15, 21 in camp and having them to speak the same language and having them to understand that there is a bigger goal than who is a better female than the other? Because you know how females are. You can't have females in the same space. So that's it when we come back, right? So let's
Right.
chat about the cricket game. And we said before the break, dealing with women is difficult. Dealing with, you have your mother and your girlfriend or my mother and your wife, to have them live in the same space is tough as it is. And these people are in two different worlds, obviously. Now, here you are as a coach, and you've got, let's take for example, you've got 12 in a squad, including the 12th man, or you've got 15 in a squad, and you need to make sure that these women understand one another, or these women understand that the bigger goal here is to win the game, or the bigger goal here is to win the tournament. How do you make them understand that it's about cricket, it's not about egos? Let's take me through your coaching career and getting into the women's setup.
Yeah, I've got a long experience with women's cricket, and started a while ago when it was introduced by Cricket South Africa, and it was under MTN development structures. So that's when I learned a lot about the interest in getting to coach women's cricket. And the thing about it is, people think that coaching women is difficult, but I sort of think that coaching men is difficult,
Okay. Okay.
and that's an interesting one
I'm eager
because
to hear that. Yeah.
because I can tell you now, uh, being in a setup of men's cricket, uh, the entitlement when it comes to the field of play, men are more dominant to it than women,
Okay.
and sometimes you would find that some players within the men's space, they get too quick, big headed, and their sort of mental aspect in terms of understanding their roles within the teams,
Mm.
they they get so lost.
Okay.
And with women, the difference with women is women are eager to learn in that space.
Okay.
So the sense of entitlement, you don't actually feel it that much as in men's, because you'd find that in women's there will be more, one or two that maybe might be in the team for a certain period, and they think that they are the main ones, they are the
Yeah.
main leading queens in the team.
Yeah.
But with men's, you find that the majority of players within the men's space are more even spoiled, and they are more even uh, childish in a way.
Yeah.
You need to manage them properly,
Mm.
because they like to throw tantrums more than women.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and and it's an interesting thing, because the moment you get into women's space, you will see that in most cases, they women's are more into, if you give them direction, they would sort of like to, they get interested by following that direction. Their passion is to perform
Okay.
and learn more in their space. So it takes away that sense of, um I'm here to stay.
Okay.
Yeah, I belong here. I'm entitled to. It
Yeah.
takes away a bit of that.
Okay.
So and now, since the women's cricket is growing, competition now becomes tougher now, and that's where now they want to learn more, because now all of them wants to become the best in the world now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
learning aspect becomes even much more than the entitlement aspect.
Wow. It's a different angle that you just took, because when you said coaching women is easier than coaching men, I was like, hold on a minute. How is it possible? Because especially with gents, I think we all kind of feel like when it comes to cricket, if you want to play hard cricket, then it's easier to go the gents route. Women are tending to be softer or on the less harder side kind of vibe. When you're trying to scream at them for doing something nonsense, gents, it's easier, they'll take it. For women, you kind of feel like, okay, maybe I have to choose my words carefully. I have to choose my tantrums carefully as a coach. And here you are, you're saying women are more eager to learn than their male counterparts. But you coming into the setup, and I had a mate of mine that was coaching the ladies. And like you're saying, every team has got a Maverick. Every team has got a Kevin Peterson that thinks that they're bigger than the game, or that think they're better than the next person, or there's a bit of gossip. So you always used to say, I used to struggle when it comes to gossip, because one person is gonna come and say, no, this lady said this about me when we were at dinner, or when we went to the mall or whatever to do shopping. And now it's affecting their game, because they're supposed to be betting together or doing stuff in partnerships. But because there is some personal vendettas, now they can't achieve what the team needs. How do you deal with such? Because it happens in a female environment where women don't know how to relate to one another. Yes, they're always speaking about Watintim Fazo, Watintim Bokodo, and we are always there for one another. But in actual fact, women are more scarier amongst each other than our male counterparts. With us, gents, if I've got something wrong with you or if a beef with you, it's easy for us to squash it. For ladies, it's different. And here you are as a coach in between. How would you be dealing with such beefs happening in your side, especially when you've got a player that thinks that, yeah, I've made it. Then you've got that one that is coming on and thinking, I'm also talented. I believe I deserve to be here. How do you deal with, as a coach, being a man and also taking your role as a man and understanding that you can't be too hard on these two females? How do you do it?
Uh, I'm gonna give a different perspective again on
Mm.
it, because it's gonna be interesting, this one.
Yeah.
Uh, the more you become strict and hard to them,
Mm.
the more less egos, the more less gossips, the
Okay.
more less attention in the dressing room.
Mm.
Because now, you with women, if you apply the hard, transparent, honest, and open discussion with them, they sort of take that guidance too well.
Okay.
Uh, they yes, you're right when you say you need to monitor how hard you come,
Mm.
but also don't create that environment where there's a culture of gossip behind closed doors. That's when a lot of coaches actually lose the momentum of the team.
Okay.
Because if you allow that space where players will go into their silo spaces and have their own kind of cabals
Mm.
within the team, you're going to lose them. So
Okay.
you'd rather break the ice while everything started on the start of the season. You break the ice right there and then, just to show them that this is going to be an open, transparent team that is not going to tolerate this kind of behaviors.
Mm.
And this is the culture that you're going to apply going forward. So it's either you with us or you out. And the moment you start applying those kind of things, that's when you find out that you're in your space of the team culture. Everything becomes a little bit less. Yes, you will have those kind of issues there and there,
Mm.
but then now they'll be more controllable in your space as a head coach or as a coach within the
Yeah.
space, and you can be able now to identify which ones are actually the lost child or the big-headed ones within the team.
Yeah.
So that becomes controllable.
Okay. 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 Then when you get controllable, how then do you then discipline without having to be too harsh? And also, you don't also want to make a sense of you are giving attention to one party and you're not hearing the other party, because when two people when there's conflict between two people, they are both right from their own perspective. So if you then decide that A is wrong and B is right, how then do you discipline A in a way that A does not get lost? And also, you don't want to set a precedent where B kind of feels like, oh, you're a little bit too lenient on them, and A doesn't also want to feel like, oh, you were too harsh on me because you are lenient on B and you want to understand them better, or you like them better than you like me. Because it's easier for such words to be thrown when, especially when it comes to women, because women are like kids. So the one that gets more attention, the other one is going to feel jealous. So how then do you discipline when there's conflict in a setup?
The the most important thing is to cut the conversation short.
Okay.
Because if you allow them to entertain the conversation, that's when you are also gonna get lost within their their craziness or their misunderstandings. So
Yeah.
the less you cut the conversation, the easier it become. And don't don't allow the outside elements to actually jump into the space of your team environment. So always try to ensure that whoever comes in within that argument, it has to be a team based argument.
Okay.
If
Okay.
it's a personal thing, you cut the conversation short, and both of them, you will deal with them on a level on an equal scale.
Okay.
So you don't want to allow that kind of conversation to jump out of the team space and also now get more unnecessary elements within your team, because it's going to cause a lot of unnecessary attention. So
Wow.
rather cut it there, cut it short,
Mm.
and also apply the method of, if it is not a team environment issue, I don't want to hear about it.
Sure.
And if you got a problem with how we deal with things here, leave your problems at the gate
Yeah.
when you get into the stadium.
Yeah.
The moment you get in here, all of your negative, I don't know, whatever elements or negative vibes, you will
Sure.
leave them at the gate. If so, don't come to the session, stay wherever you are. You will
Mm.
come here with a sober minded plan and we can all work together. So
Sure.
now it means that the culture going forward, they know that we don't play here. When you come here, you come and do your work and then you done.
Yo, yo, I like what you say there when you say if it's not a team-based argument, then I don't want to hear about it. So you're not gonna bring whatever that happened at school, whatever that happened at college, whatever, and bring it here, whether you guys had your boyfriends and whatnot. I don't want to hear about it. So as a coach, you're saying you're cutting it there and then, not entertaining it at all, 000. I like that.
Zero tolerance on that, because it will give you guidance as well as a coach to know exactly if one has a personal issue, they will definitely come to you, and then maybe vent out or maybe just seek for advice to you as a coach, and then you can help out. Then you are sort of a father figure to them.
Mm.
You are also a sort of a mentor to them, and they can also trust in your decision making, because now you won't be entertaining unnecessary elements. You'll be more focused on what makes them grow and ensuring that their talent is well looked after and the team comes first. That
Yeah.
should be our philosophy.
Yeah. Koshi, how do you deal with a new girl or a new set of girls that are coming into a professional setup, coming from high school club, and here you are. Let's take, for example, currently you're coming into the Titans. What is the one thing that one can expect as they're walking into a women's professional setup? What would your welcome be? What would be the team's environment be? Is there a speech? How do you guys welcome new talent into the setup from a coaching perspective to also ensure that they perform at their maximum because you're creating that environment? How do you guys do it? How do you do it as a coach?
Uh, the first thing that I think is important is the values of the team. You sort of want to bring out an understanding about the values of the team within a professional space, and also allowing a sense of making sure that they understand the room of disappointments within that space. Because the more you leave from school performing, let's say you averaging a 30 plus, the moment you get into a professional space, it cuts into half.
Yeah,
So meaning the standard is a little bit high than what
yeah,
you used to get.
yeah,
So a lot of players get a bit confused when they don't perform in that space. So you sort of allow that process for them to know that there is also a growth patterns in the space, and you ensure that they also understand that there is a period of growth that has a bit of benchmark that they also need to to reach out to actually make sure that they achieve as well,
yeah,
in a
yeah.
sense, so that they become better disciplinarians
Mm.
when it comes to their own performances as well.
Yeah, yeah,
So that welcoming space will ensure that you will even see with the way they behave, with the way they approach things now, that they are more focused in the space, but not forgetting the enjoyment part of it as well.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you also
yeah,
want to balance that. They
yeah.
mustn't get too much serious, because now they're gonna end up losing what is the more fun element within the space of performance
Mm.
as well
Yeah, yeah,
within the team.
yeah, yeah. Because I think the moment you start speaking about professionalism, we kind of feel like we don't laugh anymore, we don't make jokes anymore. Everything is serious. We say we come here and you hit 50 balls, you're going to hit 50 balls, you're going to catch 50 balls, and. So I like what you're saying when you're saying you also need to understand that you're not supposed to forget the fun element, because in as much as it's a professional environment, you are doing something that you love, and no one is holding a gun to your head to say go play cricket. You want to be there, you want to be part of that, and you also want to succeed. And as the girl or as the player is succeeding, the coach is succeeding as well. What challenges have you faced thus far, coming from you've coached at a junior level, you've coached the males, you've coached at club or semi pros, to come into a female setup? What challenges have you faced that are sort of common all through your coaching career thus far?
I I think the common one, and that's an interesting one. I've
Yeah.
never thought about common factors.
Mm.
Because in most cases, what I trust is my coaching ability. Because I sort of try my level best to engage with a lot of coaches so that I can get enough perspectives, enough coaching experiences, and the way to approach, and the way to how to go about my business as well. So that is why I sort of take that information and
Yeah.
then trust in my ability to player. So in terms of similarities, I guess with women's, there is a bit of delay when it comes to the understanding of cricket,
Yeah.
and with boys and men's, there is a bit of taking hasty decisions. They are so quick to think that they know all the answers.
Okay.
So that hence I'm saying that I find it a bit difficult to say how do I find the similarities between them. Between,
Yeah.
because with women's there is a little bit of women mature, they mature fast. They mature
Okay.
faster than men's.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But when you look at the amount of uh, 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 the sort of knowledge that the boys might think they have is a little bit low, because they will behave as if they understand as well,
Mm.
but only to find out that they're more clueless
Yeah.
with the approach in terms of growth within the space of cricket.
Yeah.
And you look at women's, they hence I spoke about their eagerness of learning. You see that hunger of learning, because they're still finding their feet as well.
Yeah.
So hence I'm saying that I struggle to find the balance or the
Yeah.
common factor around that.
Yeah.
This,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. For a coach that is coming into, or a player rather, coming into the coaching space. It's so funny that a few days ago I was chatting to one of the boys that I used to coach back in the day. He's grade 12 now. So he's next to me in my net and he's having his practice there. Then I'm coaching. So he comes next to me, then he says, Coachy, I'm coaching this grade 1 kid. And this is a grade 12 kid, saying, I'm coaching this grade 1 kid. And I don't know if I'm right or I'm wrong, but I've just been teaching him that I want him to just have fast hands when he's hitting the ball. And immediately I was like, wow, good on you, son. You are grade 12 and you're already coaching a grade 1, and you're telling him about fast hands when you're hitting the ball. My question to you now
Mm-hmm.
is, for a player that is coming into the space of, I also want to coach, or I want to take a career, or to take my career into the parts of coaching because I'm done with playing, what advice would you be giving to the guy that is walking in and saying, okay, you've got a Premier League side, or you've got a under 13 side, or a first team in high school side that you need to coach? What advice would you be giving to that lad to say, yeah, as you're starting?
I normally say to them, is it's not a job, it's a calling.
Wow. Wow.
We have players that retires and thinking that coaching is the way to go,
Mm.
because they had playing experience, and that's where there's a thin line between playing experience and coaching experience.
Okay.
And that's where even the unions management, they're missing that point, thinking that if I we employ somebody that comes from a playing background, they will actually coach.
Mm.
Yeah. And coaching takes time, and you also need to know that if there's one thing that is important about coaching, is you working with the character of a person.
Mm.
So if you haven't coached yourself, you cannot be able to coach somebody else.
Yeah.
So you would rather work on your coaching skills, understand yourself, to what type of a coach will I be when I coach other players. So it goes with patience, it goes with dedication, and it also goes with passion. So if you take those elements together, they need to give you a philosophy as a coach.
Yeah.
Because the moment you start doing it for different aspects like money, and you just want to coach because you done
Mm.
with cricket,
Mm.
it doesn't turn out well, because
Wow.
you're gonna find yourself being in a space where you're supposed to coach, you're going to become a player as well.
Yeah. Wow.
So your certain decision making will not be based on the coaching aspect. It will be based on the playing experience. Because now your dressing room wouldn't have a certain guidance because all of you now will become players. You're also going to be emotional because you haven't had the time to reflect
Sure.
and understand that you're now a coach.
Wow. No. I didn't want you to stop, bruh, because you're killing me right now. Because wow. It's I've always had this philosophy, or correct me if I'm wrong. I always used to say, how can you take me where you've never been? You understand?
Yep.
So how do I coach you to go to the World Cup when I've never been to the World Cup? You understand? Then you just change the whole dynamic right now by saying, if you can't coach yourself, you can't coach the other person. And when you're sitting in a dressing room, you also don't want the players are already feeling anxious. You can't be anxious. The players are already feeling like they're screwed up. You can't also make them feel like you know what, you're all just cock ups. There's nothing there. I love what you just said there when you said it's a calling. It's not you're doing it for the money or you're doing it for the fame or you are doing it because you're bored. You don't know what to do with yourself. Let me just go and coach cricket. Otherwise, that's why we say not all good players make good coaches.
Definitely.
Just say, now, you know what, we can close off the show and say, no, we're done. This is, wow, amazing, 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 amazing.
Thank you, my
Coachy,
brother. Thank you.
uh, you know what, you killed me, honestly speaking. Like, that to me just changes the whole dynamic with coaching. How then can we put a balance between players going into coaching and any ordinary person learning their cricket levels or their coaching levels to become good coaches? Can we say if you never played cricket and you went through your levels, you can coach the game? Or can we say if you've played cricket and never did your levels, you can coach the game? Which is which?
All right, fine. It all starts. Hence, I like this word experience. Be experienced enough to understand what is coaching. So, if you people are looking for quick shortcuts to make it through their coaching career, and when the journey becomes long, they start losing the interest. They ended up doing it just for the sake of doing it.
Mm.
So there should be a balance in the two. A person that has never played cricket can also learn and start somewhere to ensure that all this necessary experience that is required from him as a person going through the phases of courses and all those things can actually give him a guidance about the passion of cricket. So that's when you develop it. And also you can be a player that has experience, but also trying to refine and say, you know what, let me work on myself to understand where should I start. So now it means that these two people now coming from two different environments or aspects can actually have a place where they start, which is a development phase. So now there's no shortcuts.
Mm.
So now if a youngster like that coming to you and said, coaching, I'm working with a youngster.
Mm.
So now there's two people that are learning, but they're studying somewhere else. And then here comes this teacher or whoever, this individual, be like, I've never played cricket,
Mm.
but I want to start somewhere else with the youngsters. So now each one teach one. So now there is a bit of common level ground where both parties are studying somewhere else. So there's no shortcuts of being given this corporate ladder and then or this favoritism plan to go up and then coach.
Yeah, yeah.
So now these two people can relate because there is a certain base where they started. And so that base, remember, when you start somebody else who's young, you need to be patient with them because they don't know nothing.
Yeah.
You're introducing something to them in which of they didn't know. You introducing culture that they didn't have. So, but then the thing is, where did you get that culture as a coach? So you need to get that culture from somewhere else as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before you give somebody else a cricket culture.
Sure.
So it means that both of you guys have to go somewhere else and find that base. That's why we're having courses. That's why we're having those kind of things, mini cricket courses as well.
Yeah.
So now somewhere somehow somebody is learning something about the cricket culture for themselves before they even give it to somebody else. So now before going to that kid, you know that you're not gonna coach cricket. That's the first thing. The first thing that you know is that you're gonna have to coach there. You're gonna start a sportsman. You're studying a sports person there.
Yeah.
That's what you're developing. You're
Yeah.
developing a sportsman. You want to have a person that has morals.
Yeah.
You want to create a person that has responsibilities in a way. You understand? That's why we call it a gentleman sports game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
A good
that's what
human
you're
being.
developing. A good human being.
Yeah.
Those characters before cricket.
Yeah.
Because the first conversation that you're gonna have with them is to sell those values into them, and so that they can go along and understand that, oh, there is life after cricket.
After cricket. Wow. Wow. Coach, what makes a good coach? Whenever I ask that question, I think everyone just goes, yo. What makes a good coach?
I like that. I love that. I love that question. I love that question. Yeah. A good coach is a person that believes to improve a personal trait, a sportsmanship, a character to an individual that hasn't played any sports.
Deep. The last one, Coach, before I let you go, thank you so much for taking your time. The last one, if you were on my end as the host of the show, what would you want to ask Coach that would get people to know about you? So if you were me right now, what question would you have asked you?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Okay. How did I made it this far?
Let us know. Give us the secret. How have you made it this far?
I put in a smile. I just put in a smile.
The smile is the secret.
The smile is the secret. I just want to put in a smile, and every single time when my session is done, I want to see a smile in a player's face.
Wow. I don't think you need to say anything more. That's just that. It just shows that the player found relevance in the session, and it wasn't a wasted of a day. And they're going back and say, you know what, I did something right. You're also going back home and you're going, this was fulfilling. That's amazing. Coach, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for taking your time and just having a chat with you and other gents as well. Like you say, we learn by listening to gents, sitting down with other coaches, sitting down with other players. That's how we improve on ourselves as well. And that's the goodness of the podcast as well, because there is no set questions that I like, okay, I'm going to ask you this question, then that question, then that question. That's why it was so authentic that I ask you a question and you're thinking, how do I respond to that? That's what we're trying to achieve. And I thank you that I've learned so much just from speaking to you for an hour on how women's cricket professional set up and how you started the game as well and how we've made it thus far. That smile on TikTok is what giving you those followers. So I love it, bro.
I really thank you for the opportunity, brother, man. It's also nice to engage and share a bit of information because we don't know who's listening out there.
Yeah.
That can take one or two things,
Yeah.
and I think there's a lot of coaches out there as well that are actually listening as well
Yeah.
to grow themselves because we learn every day.
True.
We
True.
learn each
True.
and every single day, and
True.
I'm glad and I'm happy to be in this platform.
Awesome.
And I've seen it as well. It
Awesome.
also has a lot of impact.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I can't wait to have you at the studio because this is not enough. We still need to share that beer, bro.
Definitely consider that one. It's
Awesome
gonna be in the
stuff.
back.
Awesome stuff. And there we have it. What do you guys think? That was, to me, it came as, there's certain aspects that you find out from coaching and from talking to guys, and you're like, wow, I did not think it that way. Especially when he said what has kept him going thus far is the smile. And to me, I was like, wow, I was thinking he was going to tell me about reading this massive book or watching this player do the thing or watching these coaches do their thing, wherever, professionals and whatnot. But just say, putting a smile on his face and putting a smile on your player's face, that to him is everything. And I was like, wow, so blown away. So thank you so much. If you're still here, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. If you want to sponsor the channel as well. Not if you want to sponsor the channel, please sponsor the channel. Please sponsor the podcast. There's so much stuff that we need to make sure that this is not just a hobby, but it's impacting lives. So as we're impacting lives, help us, because not everyone has got the ability to speak like we do, but also your money can help us spread this word to the next person and to the next person. From my team and you guys, thank you so much. I'll see you guys on the other side. Pumza behind the screen, Aya as the content producer, Harry as the co-host, Rafa Tapelo as the marketing guys. Thank you. The whole team really, really thanks you. Amazing stuff. We'll see you guys on the other side. Cheers for now.